Wonderful. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jumoke Akintaylor, and I'm the hearing officer for San Francisco Public Works. And Cherise Waiters is the clerk for this hearing. This hearing is being recorded, so please contact us through Urban Forestry, and the contact information is on the agenda. And this public hearing is being held to consider tree removals. And if you would like to get the director's determination, please send your email to the email address that Cherise will provide in the chat, or she's already provided in the chat. So we'll start with public comments, and then we have two hearing orders on the agenda today. My job as a hearing officer is to gather the facts for the hearing items, listen to your testimonies, and help our Director of Public Works make a determination. I will not be making any decisions today, but instead I will forward the findings from this hearing and make my recommendations to the director. The director will make the final determination. Once the director's determination is made, the department will notify you of them. So we did ask you, if you wanted to be notified, to please send your email to the email address that Cherise will post in the chat. So the hearing would proceed. This is how the hearing would go. I would ask the public works staff to speak first, present the item, give us a general overview of the permit application process, and describe how the application arrived at today's hearing. Afterwards, I'll have speakers in the following order. The protesters who submitted their comments will speak, and anyone supporting I would use the word appellant, will get a chance to speak. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. The clerk will monitor the time for all speakers. When you hear the first bell, it means you have 30 seconds left to speak. A louder second bell will signify that time is up. Comments and questions should be addressed to me and not to the department or the applicant. If you cannot finish your comments within the allotted time, you may submit written testimonies to me at the end of this hearing. If you feel that if I feel the question is warranted, I will ask the question. So once all comments are completed, I will close the hearing. So we will now begin with public comments. So the public comments is to address matters that are within the department's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. So Cherise, do we have anyone that has public comments?
Yes, there was one hand. John Nolte, go ahead.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I want to thank Public Works for helping with the storm that we had last week, and cleaning up after that. I know it was very messy, and I saw the day after the Category 4 that we had a lot of downed trees and a lot of cleanup that they did. So I want to thank them for being able to be out there and deal with the storm that we had, and also keeping our sewers from overrunning and so forth. So I thank the staff, the department for doing and the other departments that helped with the during the storm. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that acknowledgement. We appreciate.
One of my things, and also I want to say, Chris, hopefully you get well soon. Bye.
Thank you, sir. That was kind.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other public comments? Cherise, any other public comments?
I see no other hands at this time.
So we'll move to the first hearing order number, which is 21005. And this is to consider the removal of 10 street trees adjacent to 100 Mission Street. 5 of those street trees are on the Mission Street frontage, and 5 are around the corner at the same property adjacent to 60 Spur Street. All 5 trees on Mission Street can be replaced. 3 out of the 5 trees on Spur trees can be replaced. 2 on Spur Street cannot be replaced due to Muni signal conflicts. Tree removal permit 794862. Staff approved the removal the public protested. So can I have Public Works staff present on this hearing, on this order number?
Good morning, this is Sarah Stacy. You can see the main screen.
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, my name's Sarah Stacy. I'm the Urban Forestry Department staff representative for today's hearing, and I thank all those in attendance for your time today at this hearing. I just have a short presentation before we jump into our two cases. If I could please have your attention. Our department is kind of, we are kind of overseen by a couple of strategic goals. Goal one being that we want to ensure a safe, clean, and green public right-of-way. Street trees are a very important critical asset to the city's infrastructure. Their ability to help control stormwater runoff during these severe weather events that helps reduce those sewer overflows. And many of you should be aware of all the other benefits our urban forest provides, especially through climate resiliency. Our mission is to preserve and grow the urban forest, but we also have to be very cognizant and balance that approach with keeping safety in mind as our city grows and evolves. So our staff, we have all certified arborists, and many of us have a tree risk assessment qualification. And our role as inspectors, when these permit applications come through, is to evaluate and assess each tree case by case and make a determination. Just a little bit more background about our department. In 2017, July of 2017, the city became responsible for the care and maintenance of all the street trees. Prior to that, we were only responsible for about a third of the street trees. We have a dedicated funding allotment for routine major maintenance. That includes pruning and sidewalk repairs. This map basically shows where we have already pruned about 60% of the street trees. The area shown there in gray. We're hoping that the department, either internally and with the help of contracts, that we can finish this first major cycle of pruning by the end of 2025. We have a tree ordinance, Article 16 of the Public Works Code, that provides a lot of guidelines and standards for our department to be consistent and address street tree maintenance and oversee the removal and planting of street trees in the public right-of-way. And I just want to provide a few updates that were important in February 2022 and remind our attendees that a removal permit is always required to remove any street tree. It's required to remove any significant tree and then any landmark tree. Some important updates from a few years ago, 2022. We established that the department is responsible for replacing street trees it removes, and it's required to do that with 120 days, or that it has to add that tree to a delayed replacement report. If a tree cannot be replaced in that same location, we have to basically relocate or find a location, a new cut site for that replacement. If the property owner or the applicant is granted a removal permit for the removal of a healthy tree, our department basically conducts an appraisal of that tree to determine the equivalent value that should be paid by that applicant if that tree gets approved for removal. That's basically so that the department can capture the mitigation or the equivalent value of that tree being removed if it does get approved through this process. And that money goes into an adopted tree fund and supports the department's ability to plant new trees for us to continue to grow the urban forest. So as an example, an owner could pay the difference between the appraised value of a subject tree minus the value of the tree they're planting. And oftentimes the size that's required for replacement is a 24-inch box. So we'll use the standard in LUFI as that standard value. Just to kind of provide a little bit or additional background on how our staff makes determinations for the approval process. Generally, we would approve a tree for removal if it is unhealthy, if it's dead, dying, or not thriving, if it's a poor species for the location and it's no longer sustainable. If it's causing damage to private property, that's a consistent reason for our department to approve removal. And then finally, if our staff determines the tree is hazardous, all those criteria would be reasons to approve removal. And then kind of a second tier, if the tree is a small diameter tree and can be easily replaced in kind, this is mostly for construction projects. We will, and it is consistent to oftentimes approve those for removal. Again, because the tree can be more easily replaced in kind. And it may just be better to not have to protect those small, delicate young trees during the construction process if they can be replaced at the end. And that's determined kind of case by case. And then finally, for more construction related projects, we will approve trees for removal if we can determine that the construction will likely destabilize the tree. That is often case by case and depends on the age of the tree, the condition, the species. So there are lots of factors we have to consider. We want to understand either through an arborist report, a construction engineer's report, if that construction just cannot work around the tree, if it's just not feasible to protect the tree in place. So we do require the applicant to submit a lot of supporting documentation to show that and prove that. And then finally, as I earlier explained, if our department is approving a tree in good condition for these construction projects, oftentimes we'll do an appraisal. And again, the applicant will have to pay that difference in the appraised value and the cost of the replacement tree. Okay, thank you for your attention. This is Public Works Order number 210054. It's to consider the removal of 10 street trees adjacent to 100 Mission Street. There are 5 trees located on Mission Street frontage and 5 trees on the frontage of 60 Spear Street. All the trees on Mission Street can be replaced, and 3 out of 5 trees on Spear Street can be replaced. So 8 of the 10 trees will be replaced. 2 trees, those 2 trees that cannot be replaced, the department will collect in lieu fee for those 2 trees. Our staff approved the removal of these 10 trees, and we did receive public protests. So I'm going to go through kind of each tree site individually and just provide kind of our staff findings for each tree. This image shows the first tree on Mission Street. It's a ficus tree, Ficus microcarpa. We would consider this tree, to be in fair condition. It's medium-sized tree. It appears, probably to the layperson or the public, green and healthy. We determine it's in fair condition. It has a diameter of about 12 inches. We did note that it does have some codominant stems, and we know the ficus trees sometimes can have branch failures where they have this kind of defect. For this application, permit number 794862, the applicant applied to remove all these 10 trees because they need to do repairs to the building to waterproof, to basically repair the waterproofing liner. They're experiencing leaking into the building, and they need to excavate this area to be able to make those repairs to protect their property. These 10 trees exist kind of in vaults, and this is often common in this area of the city, the financial district and Market Street, where the trees aren't, it's maybe not necessarily a sub-sidewalk basement, but that the building does have a basement to some degree underneath that sidewalk area. So these trees are limited in their growth size because of that limited soil volume, and they are in kind of these smaller underground vaults. The applicant has agreed to replace the 8 trees that can be replaced with a 24-inch box tree, and our department would approve the species that would be suitable for this location. This is just another image of the tree. You can see the 2 codominant stems there on the left. They're kind of limbs that are equal size diameter. It does have a fair, again, we rated this tree as in fair condition, as a fair branch attachment, somewhat U-shaped union there. But there have been studies that have shown when there are those codominant stems, they can be more susceptible to failure. This is site 3. Again, another ficus tree. The diameter is 12 inches. We rated this condition as fair. Kind of same general notes, codominant stems, recent branch failures, smaller size limbs, because these trees have been kept kind of medium size through the pruning maintenance. The tree can be replaced at the site, and the replacement size would be a 24-inch box. These are just some additional photos of that tree. This is site number 4, about a 12-inch diameter tree, fair condition. Basically same notes. Again, all these trees need to be removed so that this property owner can make those required repairs so they can prevent the water from leaking into their basement. They need to be able to basically fix and repair their private property. This location would be replaced with a 24-inch box as well. Some additional photos. This is this is site 5 on Mission Street. Kind of just, again, same general condition, fair condition, medium-sized tree, same reason for removal. And this site will be replaced as well with a 24-inch box. Some additional photos of the tree. And then this is the last site on the Mission frontage. Same general notes. This is a ficus tree as well, being removed for the construction repairs required for the building. And this location would be replaced as well with a 24-inch box tree. Some additional images, you can see kind of the codominant stems here. Because it is more of a medium-sized ficus tree, we would rate the risk as lower. But again, the reason for removal here is to support the property owner with their required building improvements so that they can repair the water leak in basement. This is the Spear frontage. The address is these trees are addressed as 60 Spear Street. These are all ficus trees as well. This is site number 1. These are all about the same condition and same size, fair condition, basically same structure, same reason for removal. This tree can be replaced, and it will be replaced with a 24-inch box. You can see kind of the fair structure there. Codominant stems, but a fair, U-shaped union. It's not a narrow point of attachment. These trees really weren't approved for removal because of poor condition or likelihood of branch failures. Again, the reason for removal is so that we can support the property owner to make their required repairs. This is site 2 on Spear Street. Again, another ficus, same condition, same size, fair condition. This of note here is that this location cannot be replaced. Our department will assess an in lieu fee here for the loss of this site because there's a muni signal that we need to basically back away from and increase the visibility of that signal. So we will not be replacing a tree at this location. We will not be requiring a replacement at this location, but we will assess an in lieu fee for the loss of that site. Some additional images. And this image shows that location on the frontage. The pole to the left where the arrow is where the muni signal is, and it's been just heavily kind of secluded by the branch canopy. This is site number 3 on Spear Street. Again, you would see that all these trees appear healthy, fair condition. Again, we approved removal because of the construction repairs required. This is a tree in fair condition. This site as well, in front of the Muni location sign, will not be replaced, and we will assess an in lieu fee. Some additional images. And then here you can see the street frontage showing that Muni signal. This is site number 4 on Spear Street, another ficus, generally same condition, fair. Same reason for removal. This location will be replaced with a 24-inch box replacement. These are some additional photos. Here you can see where there have been past failures, relatively small to medium in size. And then this is the last site on Spear Street, another ficus, same condition, fair. We noted the codominant stems, same reason for removal, and we approved for the construction repairs required. And this location will be replaced with a 24-inch box. And these are just some additional images. You can see the codominant stems, but the union here is fair structure, and we rated it as fair. It's a fair branch union, U-shaped. So to be consistent with other permits and applications, we approved 10 trees at this location, 5 on Mission and 5 on Spear for removal with 8 replacements. We will assess 2 in lieu fees to the permit applicant. And again, 8 trees will be replaced with a species approved by our department. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have the appellant? Are you done, public works staff?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So do we have the appellant here? Or applicant? Yes.
Hello,
The applicant, yes.
can I share screen?
Sharice?
Yes, just one moment and I'll promote you to panelists. Excuse me. When you come over, it'll ask you to, you'll need to unmute yourself one more time, okay? So look for the prompt.
Okay, thank you. Can you see the
Okay,
screen?
so yes, we see. So once you begin speaking, you will have three minutes. Are there any others who will be speaking
Yes,
in your team or?
yes, the landscape architect, I understand they'll get another 3 minutes as well, is that correct?
Yes, okay,
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Hi, my name is Lucina Asensio with OTJ Architects. I'm here to share more information about the project. You can see the site here on the right, photos of the existing building located on Mission and Spear Street. The work that's planned is planned in 2 phases. The first part is phase 1 is the repair work of the ground plane. It's the full ground plane exterior wrapping the building, has intrusion issues that we need to solve. This is in preparation for renovation work of the building, including the basement, which will have tenant amenities and really critical services for the building at the basement level, which sits below the sidewalk area. The blue here is showing the extent of the basement. So the entire sidewalk area is actually forming the roof of the basement as well as the parking area, and all of the tree wells as well sit over interior space that's planned to be tenant amenity and key services for the building. The pink dashed line here is showing the extent of the repair work for the site. It's extensive. It's all of the site to have continuous waterproofing. It also includes regrading to help direct water away from the building. It includes repair of structural damages and cracking that are allowing for water intrusion and also appear to be a significant safety hazard. The tree wells are a part of this scope to create continuous waterproofing in the pink zone shown in this slide. In this slide, you can see examples of some of the damage. We know that the rain events are going to continue and that they're going to become increasingly dramatic. So we see existing damage in the building from past and current rain events. The basement itself has flooded fully with standing water in the past. So there's a major issue here that needs to be repaired. This is showing examples of efflorescence coming through cracking, examples of active water flowing into the buildings from the tree wells, additional examples of cracking in areas that need repair due to safety concern in addition to the water intrusion. So the scope of this repair work will fix all of this with a continuous waterproofing that's seamless from the building, wraps all the way through the sidewalk areas, across the parking and the sidewalks, and down into the tree well in order for it to be the most effective.
30 seconds.
Thank you. I can pass it to the landscape architect. If possible, I'd like to continue to share screen. Can I share screen while he speaks to the next slides?
Sure, just a moment.
So I'll pass it to Scott.
I see. Okay, I was going to ask which hand. Okay, Scott.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
So my name is Scott Mulholland. I'm with Braille Landscape Architecture, and we're working with Lucy at OTJ and the owner on this project. So on the slide we're looking at here, it's the existing site plan. So we're showing the existing tree count that Sarah Stacy walked everybody through. We have 5 existing trees on Mission Street and 5 on Spear Street. And the constraints are that the trees are planted within that structural box. So in order to do the waterproofing, we need to be able to access the slab and provide the continuous waterproofing over the entire basement slab above. So the trees would actually need to be removed in order to do that waterproofing to repair all the water damage that Lucy just showed. So I think we could probably go to the next slide. These are some streetscape sections that show what is basically happening, and with some color diagrams to the right. So the top 2 diagrams, the one on the left shows a little bit more of the detail of how the trees are planted within those structural boxes. It's not a continuous downturned slab, they're actual boxes, but they're open on the street side, and that's the existing condition. And so in order to access that slab, you can see the magenta line where the waterproofing needs to get applied over that and down. And the new condition will show new trees being planted in those exact same boxes, but the waterproofing will be repaired and there'll be new soil and new trees. The diagram to the right both show that the positive side where the water is coming, we need to access that. In order to do a proper waterproofing repair, you have to you got to do it on the positive side of where the water is coming versus the negative, which is the building interior. So between those 2 diagrams, one is showing Mission Street, the other is showing Spear Street. The only difference is one will have a tree grate, the other one will be open with gravel, and that's because of the bus access on Mission Street. So I guess the next slide is our proposed street tree planting. So we worked with the Bureau of Urban Forestry on the tree selection, and we're showing 3 along Spear Street, which is on the right.
30 seconds.
3 new 24-inch box bay laurels, and on Mission Street we have 5 new 24-inch box bay laurels. And again, the locations are fixed because of that's what we have in the slab. And these new trees, because they're open on the side, will have sufficient soil to be able to grow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see one more hand up. Is this for this hearing order? Dave Osgood? Okay, so did you promote Dave? I saw his hand up.
I unmuted him.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Osgood.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. So the primary reasons given for removing the trees are the leaks and the Muni signal. None seem to be very compelling reasons. They are don't seem particularly serious. We all know the horrors of having a leaking basement, but from what I've heard, there was only one situation where water leaked onto the floor, and it's not clear what caused that. All I've heard about and seen is basically staining on the side of the concrete, something leaching through the concrete, apparently. You know, the true source of any water is unclear. I haven't heard an engineer's report, nor an arborist report. Are all the boxes leaking? Are they all leaking the same amount? That's not clear. And I wonder why that hasn't been addressed. As far as the Muni signal, Muni installed a signal in the middle of a bunch of trees. That's the problem. It's buried in these trees, so it obviously hasn't been used. My understanding is it's been there a couple of years. It's not used for anything, so its importance is pretty questionable. It would be interesting to know what the signal is for, and I would expect the director to find out. But again, it doesn't seem to be of much importance. We'd like to see the corporate owner contribute more to the neighborhood if they are granted permission to remove the trees. We'd like to see, for example, the brick sidewalk replaced. The brick sidewalk is beautiful. It's in perfect condition. There's no root damage.
30 seconds.
We'd like to see the bricks replaced, and haven't heard anything about that. There's gaps in the trees between 60 Spear and the Federal Reserve, so there may be opportunities to fill that gap. If not there, you know, around Rincon Center where I live would be a good place to add some missing trees. But the city needs to.
That's your time. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. My apologies, I did think you were part of the team, so I'm opening it up now for public comments. Public comments, we have one hand up for public comments.
Good morning. There's a couple issues here. We have a new property owner that comes to the neighborhood and decides to remove trees. This property owner, you know, again, got a building for a discounted rate, and now wants to renovate the building, put stuff in the basement. I mean, really, I mean, you know, it shows some not very logical to put services in a basement of a property. And then come to DPW and say, well, we got to replace all these trees because we're putting out services in the basement of our property because we got it for a song because of the downturn in the economy. And as the prior speaker says about Recon Hill, again, these sidewalk vaults, I'm concerned about the issue is I saw yellow zones and red zones in the presentation. So any trees that would be put in 24 box size, again, there would be the issue of being hit by the cars or trucks because the way, you know, there are loading zones and so forth there. So I would be concerned about what kind of tree gets in there and how that would be impacted by placing that on the street. And then also nothing was discussed about how deep are these vaults because these roots need good root system. And I didn't hear any presentation from their team saying how deep these vaults are because, again, the trees need enough room to grow. And so since they're not growing out into the street and they're limited to the basement size, we might want to make, I don't know, can we make them bigger down there? You know, can DPW request that these vaults be bigger? So that these trees can survive because we're getting into big weather storms, and also we are our city is getting warmer, and so the issue is there's a number of issues going on here, and also I'm concerned about we only have, since it only has two sides with streets, again. I didn't hear about other planting sites within every 20 feet. So I only heard about the ones that are currently there and not about additional locations within
30 seconds.
here and Mission for planting. So there's a number of questions being raised about how this property owner is, what they're planning on doing and how that's affecting the neighborhood and the trees in the environment too. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands up for public comments on this hearing order. Okay, I have one question for the applicant. You did mention that you could get better results doing the repairs from the outside. Did your company or the design team explore the option of repairing from I think you said it was the negative side from inside the building? Do you have like some kind of analysis that made you arrive at having to remove the trees for you to do this waterproofing repairs?
In order for the waterproofing to be continuous, it has to be applied to the positive side.
Okay.
Yeah, so it cannot be applied to the negative side and be continuous. So for it to be effective, it needs to be continuous. It needs to extend from the building through the sidewalk and down into the tree well so that it actually physically connects and there's not a break there.
Okay, I would like to see an analysis of that, if you don't mind, if you have something that can describe that to me, that I can look at after this, you can send it to me. I'd like to look at that.
We'll provide more information.
Yeah, I just want to be sure that, I mean, the options were explored and there was like some analysis done in terms of the risk and the benefits, how the benefits of removing the trees outweigh repairing from the inside the building. That's what I would like to see. Thank you. If there are no other public comments on this for this hearing order, I would like to go ahead and close it and move to the next item on the agenda. So I don't see any other hands up. So this order number is closed. we would move to hearing order 210055. And this is to consider the removal of 3 street trees adjacent to 801 Sanchez Street. The trees are located on 24th Street frontage. All 3 trees can be replaced. And this is the permit number for this is 794930. And the staff approved the removals and there was a protest. So please go ahead, Public Works staff.
Thank you. This is Sarah Stacy, Urban Forestry. Again, this is Public Works Order 210055 to consider the removal of 3 street trees adjacent to 801 Sanchez Street. The trees are located on the 21st Street frontage, and all 3 trees will be replaced with equivalent nursery stock. This is permit application 794930. Our staff, we did approve the removals and we received public protest. I'm gonna show some images of all 3 trees at this location. Again, they're located on 21st Street. These are all California pepper trees, Shinus mole. And this is tree site number 1. It's a relatively small to medium-sized tree. It has a diameter of 8 inches. We did rate the condition as fair, good, though the structure we did rate as poor to fair because of a lean. The inspector did conduct an appraisal for this tree, and it did appraise for less than the standard in LUFI. And I'll explain a little bit more about that process. We approved the tree for removal because of the required construction for this project. The project has to make significant grading changes to reinforce a large retaining wall and sidewalk. And because of the change in grade, that may destabilize the tree or cause the tree to decline in the future because of those grading changes. Trees do not tolerate grading changes very well unless there are like significant engineered solutions to preserve and work around those roots. This location, again, the inspector conducted an appraisal, and because of the poor structure and lean, it did appraise less than the standard in LUFI. So for that reason, we'll still require this tree to be replaced with what we call the equivalent size for the LUFI, which is a 24-inch box, and that's kind of our standard requirement for new construction. This is site number 2, same species, the California pepper tree. We rated this tree as fair to good, and its structure is fair. It does have kind of a characteristic slight bend in the main trunk, kind of a dog leg. That's why we rated the structure as fair. This tree appraised for more than the standard in LUFI, and we did, for the same reason, approve it for removal because of those significant construction requirements to regrade the site and reduce the grade. This site will be replaced. We will require replacement with a 36-inch box for this location. Again, and that's determined from the appraisal because this tree was larger in diameter and was slightly better in condition and structure. It appraised for more than the standard in LUFI, so we're requiring its equivalent replacement as a 36-inch box. And then finally, this is location number 3. It has an even larger diameter, 12-inch. It's the same species, California pepper tree. All these 3 trees, you know, the health is rated good to fair. You know, they appear very green. The structure here is fair. There's a slight lean. Its form is good. Generally, you would say here all 3 trees are, you know, healthy and good condition, but we approve the removal because the construction is likely to significantly damage these trees, possibly destabilize them, but we can likely expect that if they were protected in place, that they could experience decline in the future because of the significant grading required for that retaining wall. This location will be replaced with a 36-inch box. That's one step up from what we require for general construction. And then just to summarize this permit, we approved the removal of all 3 California pepper trees because of the construction required for the retaining wall. Those trees will likely experience either damage, maybe destabilized, but we would likely possibly see decline in the trees because of the significant grading. So we believe that they should be removed, and we will require replacement. Site 1 will be replaced with a 24-inch box, which is the standard construction requirement. And then site 2 and 3 will be replaced with 36-inch box. And again, that's one size class up from the general requirement. The species approved for this is the Australian willow. And our staff notes that these make good street trees. They have non-invasive roots. They cast light shade. They have moderate growth rate, and they have a attractive kind of pendulous form. So to be consistent with other cases, we approve this permit. Again, all 3 trees will be replaced. And that is all my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have the applicant? Is the applicant here? Okay, I see one hand up.
Hi, yeah, I'm the arborist. My name is Corey Majeski. I'm an ISA certified arborist, and I am also a tree risk assessment qualified arborist. And I'm just having some issues with my presentation. Okay, can I share the screen?
Yes, just a moment. I'll promote you to panelist, and then you will need to unmute yourself once again.
Okay. All right, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we are. Thank you. So you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, so I don't have too much to add over what Sarah presented here, but I have an aerial view for you of the site project, as well as arrows indicating the 3 trees. And I do have some photos here. So as Sarah was saying, we have kind of fair to fair good health for these trees and fair to fair poor structure for all of these trees. So the 2 easternmost trees are viewed. The center tree is closest in the farthest left picture, and the farthest east tree is in the background of the picture behind the cones. In the center there, you can see these trees are causing buckling. So they're kind of outgrowing this area. And then our westernmost tree is in the picture to the right. So we felt these trees were rating fair good, again, to fair. We have some leans, we have some weakly attached branches, which are prone to failure, as Sarah mentioned with some of the other trees in the previous presentation. What we're mostly concerned about is the types of construction activities on site and the impacts those are going to have for these trees being sustainable for this location and just their health going forward. So pretty small images here, but there's going to be a grade change amounting up to 6%. And this is due to bringing the sidewalk on location to ADA compliance, which is necessary for this project. So there's not really a good workaround for this or a good alternative for, bringing this sidewalk into compliance. It's quite a steep location, just anecdotally. It's very hard to just walk there as a person with full mobility. But for the trees, even a grade change of 1 to 2% is usually not recommended. Even that low of a grade change can compact roots, and that can cause destabilization, root death, and decline of the tree. So that is a major concern. We also have demolition of the
30
sidewalk
seconds.
and utility trenching to occur within 5 feet of the trees. So that's very likely, almost certain to sever major roots, causing, again, root damage or death of the tree, at least, very least severe decline in a very target-rich environment. There's a sidewalk here. There's a street that's pretty moderately trafficked. And then here's a side-on view for you of the extent of excavation and some of the
That's
grade.
the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other party from the applicant's side? Or it's just you, Ms. Cole? Okay. So we'll take public comments for this hearing. We have one hand up.
Good afternoon. I have some questions here. I'm not clear if these trees are planted 20 feet apart. It didn't quite look that way by looking at some of those pictures. So there might be even room to plant more trees there. And also, since it's a corner lot, I didn't hear what was being planted on the other side of the street, the other part of the property, since it's a corner lot on the next street over. And then also the other issue is looking at the plots themselves. I think they need to be wider than they are located as presented because again, you need water. You need these trees to, if they're going to be replaced, they do be watered correctly. I'm not clear about the ADA requirements because I'm not an expert on that, but I don't think that that's something to be thrown out at this. And also the grading. I mean, I know in prior hearings about trenching and so forth, we save trees because of trenching. So again, these sort of statements that are being said here kind of don't fly with me because of why they want to remove them. Because the department has denied requests for these in prior hearings. So some of the things that are being said here are questionable of why they were being removed. And also, I feel that these trees, they look fairly healthy. Again, it wasn't really clear a new building going in, what kind of a building going in, and why this parcel is being changed. So that should be part of the record, and this is why I don't like coming to these hearings, because I don't get all the facts and I don't know what kind of a building is being built and why this is being done. All I hear is about a permit, and there's not enough information for the public to make a consent response to what is being said at this hearing, and having people assume that their work is correct, which I don't believe. And there's always room for changes and mitigations to
30 seconds.
that is proposed. So I haven't heard how Public Works has mitigated the issues brought up today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other public comments for this hearing order number? Okay, I have one hand up.
Hi there, this is Brittany Cooper, representation for ownership. Yeah, I would just like to reiterate that this tree removal is unfortunately necessitated by another public agency in the city. The ADA requirements here are requiring us to rebuild this sidewalk in such a way that unfortunately the trees cannot be salvaged. We are replacing them at the required sizings, and also adding about 400 square feet of planting to the right of way, which is further contributing to the street beautification in the neighborhood, and the general, experience of the neighborhood. That's all.
Thank you. So this is required for ADA compliance. For
That's
this. Okay. All right. Thank you. I have Judith Yang.
Hi, and I just wanted to answer the question about why can't we plant more trees when the space between each tree is pretty significant. There are a lot of required clearances from DPW regarding, water lines, any other utility lines, existing street signs, and based on all those existing utilities and street signs and certain elements, we can only plant the 3 trees where we're proposing to plant them.
Okay. Thank you. So, Corey, I have your hand up. Do you have your hand up, or is from the past?
I do. If I could
From
just
the
make
public comments. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just an additional comment of the question regarding the trenching. So the reason that we don't see this as a sustainable, we can't really sustain these trees in this location is the proximity of the trenching to the trees. So there is definitely a threshold where trenching is acceptable and safe for trees. And my company actually does provide tree care post-construction. So we just know that where the location of this trench, which is closer than 6 feet to these trees, that falls into the critical root zone of these trees, and any root loss within that area is really, really severely damaging to trees. So that's just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Do we have any more public comments? I don't see any other hands up. So in the absence of any other public comments, this hearing order is now closed. I want to thank everyone for their time here today, and you'll be notified if you sent in your email. Thank you so much. The hearing is now closed.